Plank. Presented by Jeep continues right now on ABC Action News Now.
And welcome back to the Plank. Tom Korn along with John Sable. As we move on past that Pittsburgh Steelers victory, which, as you can see, delighted many of people in the Tampa Bay area. That was a nice little montage.
Isn't it great?
I love when the little kids are out there, running around with the flags.
It's great, but it's awesome because what the powerful thing about the NFL, even college football, but just football in general, one win can change your entire week. You could be happy, you could be upset. We've been upset for the last few weeks, but this has definitely been a victory week for Buccaneer fans all across the Bay. But that's awesome, seeing little kids run around like that and the selfies that they're taking. We want to see more of your photos, so hopefully the Bucs beat the Saints this week. You guys can go ahead, tweet us your photos using the hashtag #ThePlank.
Yeah, and one of the things, 813-367-0171 is the number to give us a call. We know you're out there, and I know you might be a little bit nervous, but don't be nervous because, John's a good guy, and, some people say I'm not. But I think I am.
I think you're a good guy.
I don't know.
Sometimes.
It's debatable.
Yeah.
But the fact is that everybody has an opinion, so we certainly respect yours. So why don't you join us here on the Plank and bring it to us here. As far as this game going into New Orleans, I saw what the Bucs did against Pittsburgh. I was impressed with Glennon in that final drive. I also was unimpressed with Pittsburgh kicking a punt to the basically 30-some yards.
That has been overshadowed.
Without a doubt. Pittsburgh set the stage, and the Buccaneers finished it.
Because the drive before that, Glennon overthrew Vincent Jackson in the back of the end zone, and we're thinking, oh, you know what, it's over with. And the Steelers go 3 and out and they punted a, 20-yard punt? At least it seemed like it.
It was close to shank.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. And, I see that, and fine, that's great. And maybe the Buccaneers needed that kind of a bounce.
Right.
Had it been another 20 yards down the field, would they have gotten it in? It doesn't matter because you got to deal with reality. Reality is Glennon got him in, and he found Vincent Jackson in the end zone. But I'm looking at Sunday's game, not to be a Debbie Downer over here, but I'm just not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it either.
I'm not seeing any of it because I know New Orleans is not playing well, and frankly, they only beat who do they play in their own dome? I forgot who they played, but it was not anybody that was any great shakes. Oh, Minnesota. They beat Minnesota in their own dome. Minnesota only scored 7 points. It was like 21-7, something like that. I know New Orleans is having their problems, but the Buccaneers, I just don't see right now, without Gerald McCoy being totally healthy with two hands, that they can put pressure on Drew Brees with just the front four. If they got to move a nickel back in there and they got to bring 5 or 6 to get him, I think there's a problem, and that's when I think Brees is going to be really effective.
There's a couple stats that jump out at me, and I'm a stat guy when it comes to looking at games, and you should never really go by the stats a lot. But if you look at what Greg alluded to it early, in order for the Bucs to at least have a good chance at winning this game, they're going to need to establish the run. We've been talking about this all week on our newscasts. Lovie Smith talked about it this week. Besides the Buccaneers, one of the other worst teams in the league that can't stop the run, the New Orleans Saints, giving up an average of almost 130 yards on the ground. So when you look at that, if the Bucs can at least start that, establish it early, they could have a chance. But then you look on the flip side. Yeah, the Saints' defense is horrible. So many holes. They give up nearly 400 yards, tied for 29th in the league, and nearly 200 yards through the air, which is one of the worst in the league. But you look at their offense. Their offense, despite Jimmy Graham having some struggles, they're paying him like a wide receiver, like he should be, but he's been dropping balls left and right. But they're still putting up the points. I just don't see the Saints losing in their home field like that. The Bucs coming off a great win. Glennon's been there. I mean, he's played okay last year, but Drew Brees just outshined and tore the Bucs apart. I just don't see it either.
Yeah, in fact, let me pass this one along to you. You alluded to it. The Saints offense is ranked third in the passing game in the National Football League. Where's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense ranked against the pass? 3-2, folks. 32.
Yeah, that's not good.
That would be last.
Yeah,
all right. So you don't think that Drew Brees is going to come out and be handing the football off. He's going to be coming out looking for Colston and company.
Right, and the Saints have outscored the Buccaneers nearly 17.5 points a game since 2003 in the Superdome. Besides the Seattle Seahawks with the 12th man there in Seattle, the Superdome is probably the second hardest place to play for a visiting team. Would you agree?
I think it may be, well, Seattle might be the hardest.
Right.
But in a dome setting, I think it's harder to play there than it is to play in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Well, the difference between there is when you look at the configuration of the stadium, the Superdome is more closer to the field. The fans are a little more crazy than Atlanta fans, but I don't see it either. Looking at the Saints' defense, they're allowing close to 30 points a game. That's not good. I mean, the Bucs defense, they're almost identical defenses, except the one thing the Buccaneers have it going against them compared to the Saints, the Bucs have some injuries on the defensive side. You don't have Gerald McCoy back 100%. You don't have Mike Jenkins. He's out for the year at cornerback. You're having your boy, Jonathan Banks, who
I think he'll play, but
I
don't think he's playing that well. I don't think he's
not
physical.
playing well.
I don't think he doesn't play physical.
Right.
I want him to jam on the line of scrimmage. He's not jamming, and that cost him. That cost him the game too because he's standing 7-8 yards back, and I thought that cost because it was just easy pickings. It was sickening to watch. I couldn't even stand watching.
Yeah, he gives too much space in between his wide receivers. But you also look at Mason Foster and Larry English, other key players in the defense. The depth on the defensive side, specifically in the secondary, as Greg Allman just talked about, could be an issue. So it doesn't look good on paper, but it's on paper. The Bucs could shock the world. Unlikely, in my opinion.
If they're going to shock the world, as we alluded to a little bit earlier, I want you to listen to what Lovie Smith and Clinton McDonald had to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that front four, what they have to do against that quarterback by the name of Drew Brees. Listen in here.
You're a great quarterback like Drew Brees. I mean, he's good in the pocket. He's good out of the pocket. He can scramble around. He's a better athlete than he's given credit for. Quick feet to move around to get his throws off.
You know, Drew Brees is more so elusive. You know, he'll move around the pocket. It's up to the four guys up front as well as the guys in the back end and the linebackers to get this guy figured out and get him down.
And that's one guy you don't want to be getting chased with the ball. Because Clint McDonald, he'll take you down, but he's exactly right. He's exactly right. It's going to come down to the guys up four, the front four, to get to Drew Brees. You sacked Ben Roethlisberger 5 times last week. Granted, it was against a weaker offensive line Steelers side. You're going to have to do that again if you're going to have any success to establish the run and get in the defense to get through to Drew Brees in that pass rush.
Well, I look at it, McDonald, they really do a good job against the run. I just want to see the front four be able to do it on their own.
Right.
They established it very early against Pittsburgh when Gerald McCoy basically walked in and took down Roethlisberger on the first play last Sunday. Will that happen in this game? I don't think so.
Well,
I'm not. I'm concerned about it. I'm as concerned about this game as I was concerned with Game 2 of when they lost the Game 2. You know, just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the phones. 813-367-0171. That's 813-367-0171. The number on the screen right now. And I believe we have Jerry and Brandon. Is that right, Jerry? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. You know, I understand a bit of the negativity. I understand that, you know, they hadn't shown a lot until the Pittsburgh game, but I really do think that they showed that they can battle in last week's game. I mean, that was a Pittsburgh team that came in with, you know, outstanding running backs, you know, really their principal back, and you know, all you heard about was how they were going to pounding, and they could also take it outside. And, you know, as we got into the game, you could see that the Bucs do have a spine. They really do come on hard. And I just feel like, I mean, I sense your negativity, and I just wondered out loud, like, what do you think these guys can do right to beat the Saints? Because I saw Drew Brees really getting hassled, and I understand they don't have a lot of pressure, but you know, I feel like they're coming off a very emotional win, and football is an emotional game, and I just think we might be selling them short a little bit here.
Yeah, Jerry,
so
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And sometimes I get a little bit too close to it, and it was an analysis, a paralysis by analysis.
Right.
And I know you're taking a more of an open view of it, and I'm looking at it, one guy, this guy, that guy, trying to put the pieces together on a week-to-week basis. The one thing that, to answer your question, what do we think the Buccaneers need to do in order to beat New Orleans this week? Well, first of all, what they need to do is they need to get healthy. Well, that's not going to happen for New Orleans.
It's not going to happen in time.
They have not had an opportunity to play consistently with all their starters this entire season. It seems when one goes down, one comes up. One goes down, one comes up. Two go down, two come up. They haven't had that consistency, and I think that's hurt this football team. But as far as beating New Orleans, if I were to, the one thing they have got to do is the defense. It's got to be a four-man pressure defense. That's one thing they have got to do. If they don't have that, it's over.
I couldn't agree more with you. Yes, the Bucs did stop the run to a certain extent against the Steelers, but you also got to look at the two teams. Steelers and the Saints are completely different. The Bucs, if you put pressure on Drew Brees, he can throw a couple picks, but then you're going to have to rely on your secondary. And let's just face it, the secondary of the Buccaneers is not very good, especially when they're going to be facing up against a tall receiver, tight end receiver, you call him whatever you want, in Jimmy Graham.
Okay. All right, folks. Once
Thanks
again,
for the call,
thank you. Is that Jerry and Brandon? We appreciate that. 813-367-0171 is the number, and you can contact us a number of ways.
Yeah, you can reach Tom and I on Twitter at our handles right there. You can also Skype in, too, using the name ANN Bucks. And remember, you're watching us right now on abcactionnews.com, The Plank. Also tweet us using the hashtag #ThePlank, and also call in there. You see the number on your screen, 813-367-0171.
All right, we're going to be back with more here on The Plank, and Ed Daniels from WGNO, sports director at ABC in New Orleans, will get us up to speed on the Saints when we come back.